And I am live talking about movies once again. So tonight we talk about two movies, two horror flick in this horror night. We talk about We Bury the Dead with Daisy Ridley. It's also a movie that was made by the same crowd that created Talk to Me, a movie that came out, I believe, 2 years ago. And both movies have something in common. I like these. And I'm not the biggest horror fan. Rewind. We also talk about The Bride, another very fun movie. And I've seen some of the critique out there, and I cannot wait to kind of argue about it or kind of talk about it on a different lens and perspective. So, with that being said, let's start with Bury the Dead. So let's screen share. We screen share. So that movie came out really early this year. But if you search on the internet, you may see that movie as being a 2024 or a 2025 movie, but it did came out like in January in some place. So yeah, wrong page. Because we usually start with the wiki segment and not the Rotten Tomato segment. Not yet. So I will screen share the right tab once I get into it. So many tabs. There we go. We Bury the Dead. So this is the right tab. Let's get into it. So Bury the Dead is made and directed by Zach Ildich, written by Zach Ildich, produced by Kelvin Monroe, Grant Sputero. I just butchered the name, sorry about that. It was also produced by Grant Sputero, yeah, the guy I just butchered the name, I just repeat it, Russ Dinnerstein, and Joshua Arias and Mark Fizano. There's like 4 or 5 producer. It starred Daisy Ridley, aka Ray, Brenton Thwaites. That name is actually familiar, but I can't remember from what. Mark Cole Smith. I have no clue who that guy is, so I won't be surprised if they casted these people to save some money. So, welcome to the stream. We talk about movies, and we currently talk about We Bury the Dead, a brand new Daisy Ridley movie, and it was surprisingly good. So now we are going over the wiki page so people have an idea what movie we are talking about. So the cinematography was made by Steve Ennis. It was edited by Merlin Eden, music by Clark, production companies, Screen Australia, Grey Mercy Park Media, Screen West, The Penguin Empire, Adelaide Film Festival, Giant Leap Media, Peachtree Media Partners. I just butchered like so many names once again. I'm really great at butchering these names. It's my specialty at that point. It was distributed by Umbrella Entertainment Australia, Vertical United States. Release date March 9, 2025 at the Sierra X-Ray Sierra Whiskey. January 2, 2026 in the United States, February 5, 2026 in Australia and New Zealand. It's kind of tragic. Australia and New Zealand, they always get these movies way too late. It's tragic, it's sad, but it's happening. The running time is 95 minutes. Countries Australia, United States, language English, box office 4 million. And when we only have the box office, that means the movie is quite small in terms of budget. So this is what's going on. This is the movie we are talking about. So now let's get into the plot, right? It's very important. It's a key thing in the movie, the plot. So let's get into it. After a virus wiped out many areas and turned living people into zombies, cleaner teams were sent to bury the people or the zombies. Daisy Ridley character is in search of her husband to receive proper closure. Now, I will spoil the entire movie because this is what we do here. We spoil the entire movie. So let's get into it. Did I like that movie? Did I hated that movie? Let's get into it. So I will say I've seen as of right now only 14, 20, 26 movie. And that one is in the top 5. So I have no issues whatsoever with We Bury the Dead. Let's get into the likes. Well depicted how Plain Girl was a liar. So basically, Daisy Ridley is a liar. So hello there, welcome to the stream. I'm thirsty. Let's drink some water. That throat is really sore because I got a really bad cold, but we are still streaming for the love of it. So welcome, welcome. Now, what else is to like about We Bury the Dead? The movie was very good at showing overtelling a trope with these people in charge of the movie because, again, I've seen Talk to Me and they were efficient in Talk to Me with showing overtelling. The military shooting down some zombies was very entertaining. The music was standout. Entertaining main duo. The two leads were very fun to watch. They were entertaining. They were very different. One is more naive, but their naivety is collapsing throughout the movie. The other one is more harsh and merciless. That's a trope. Entertaining nighttime action. The lead stabbing the crazy guy made sense. So at some point, they meet with a military guy. That military guy wants to relive his relationship with his wife. That is spoiler, that is now turned into a zombie. And she wants to replicate that. Or he wants to replicate that. And Daisy Ridley is not having it. She won't replace the wife. So she basically goes stabby with the guy. That was a very violent scene. One of the most violent scenes in the movie. The next stop. Entertaining action sequence with a zombie by the beach. The dad burying his wife was tragic and sad. So at some point, we get to see Daisy Ridley bumping into a dad that basically buries his entire family. It's the saddest moment. And Daisy Ridley actually helped the poor guy. It's so sad. It's so great because you're very much like into the moment with them. That makes that moment priceless. So the next up would be sad reveal. Daisy Ridley was being cheated on. The lead getting closure was fun. The movie ending with finding a baby was interesting. Team of having proper closure after the loss of loved one. Entertaining flashbacks showing the collapse of the relationship. Interesting how the lead girl tries to humanize the monsters. It's something else. Overall, We Bury the Dead is a sad movie I enjoyed. Overall, it's a good zombie flick. And it's a top tier entertainment. I said it. It's a top tier entertainment. So I will give We Bury the Dead a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Now let's get into the Rotten Tomato crowd. Did these people like it as much as I did? We will see in a moment. So I will screen share right now. I'm time stamping because that's timestamp. So Rotten Tomato, where are you? We will see if I'm crazy because a lot of times I am crazy in these movie reviews. So We Bury the Dead. There we go. Oh my, maybe I'm crazy. So we got 88% with the critique and 46% with the audience. I wouldn't be surprised if that audience crowd is from the Star Wars universe and that's why they hated it. Maybe some people were actually disappointed because they have seen Talk to Me and they like Talk to Me more. Because substance wise, I think Talk to Me had a bit more to offer. I like We Bury the Dead more, but Talk to Me had more messaging in it than this. So maybe that's why. Let's get into the comics. Oh, rewind. The comments. Why is that 88% critique and 40-ish% for the crowd? So let's get into it. Critic reviews. India Block. India Block. London Evening Standard. So that one is a fresh, but that's a tight fresh with a 3 out of 5. So that would be a 6 out of 10. If you turned it off 5 minutes before the credit roll, this would be a solid 4-star movie. Interesting. Jake Wilson, Sydney Morning Herald. Another 6 out of 10. Grief as a subject for horror cinema has become a cliche. But We Bury the Dead at its best is getting at something more specific. That's true. It's about getting closure as well. Daisy Ridley produces a masterclass in minimalism in this slick Australian zombie movie with an 8 out of 10. We Bury the Dead is a powerful and engrossing character study of a woman who just wants closure. And Daisy Ridley delivers a career best performance full of steady resolve and cool determination with another 8 out of 10. And you know what? I agree. I wasn't a fan of the prequels. The prequels are actually train wreck. I cannot stand them. But that movie actually sold me on Daisy Ridley. Is she stellar? I don't think so, but she was decent. So that's the critique crowd. They quite enjoyed it. Let's get into the audience. 2.5 stars. Very similar to the critique. The 5 out of 10. This is not your typical action zombie film. That's true. It's more a psychological sad thriller. That's also true. Sometimes things that can happen to you happen. Not bad, not great, just okay. Another 5. Super short, abrupt ending, no plot. Maybe that person misunderstood or just ate Daisy Ridley. I don't know. 1 star. I don't know. I think it's harsh. Is it really a 2 out of 10? I don't think so. Wendy with a 7 out of 10. Not your typical zombie movie, but in a good way. Definitely more of a heartfelt drama than horror. The story keeps you on your toes, and that's true. Overall, that movie is quite good. So, the audience, they were not a fan. But the critique, they kind of liked it. Most of them, at least. So, this was We Bury the Dead. What did you think of We Bury the Dead if you have seen it? Am I crazy? I don't think so this time around. I am kind of spot on with the critique, which is surprising. But I'm out of touch with the audience for once. So now let's get into the next movie, The Bride. And The Bride, I've seen briefly a lot of people complaining about it and saying, oh, it's too this, it's too that. Can't understand where they're coming from because I had issues with it. It's not perfect by any means. But I'd agree with most of them that this movie is underwhelming when compared to many other movies this year. So let's get into The Bride. I will screen share the wiki page of The Bride. There we go. That's quite a short lineup. Realization. Oh, that's because I got the French version. I don't know why. Now I got the proper version. There we go. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. So let's get into The Bride. Directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Written by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Based on Frankenstein or The Modern Prometheus by Mary Shelley. Produced by Maggie Gallagher, Emma Tilgley-Koskrov, Talia Klingenden. Where do they find these names? It's crazy. I butcher name, but I've never butchered that many names in one stream. Osnat Hindelsman Karen. Starring Jesse Buckley, Christian Bale, aka Batman, Peter Sarsgaard, Annette Bening, Jake Gallagher, aka The Flash. Penelope Cruz was also part of the people in that movie. Cinematography Lawrence Sher, edited by Dylan Tichenor. Music by Ildur Girodaradotti. These names, folks. Why? Why so hard? Production companies, First Love Movies. In the current company, distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. Release date February 26, 2026. Leicester Square. March 6, 2026. The USA and Canada. Running time 126 minutes. Country USA. Language English. Budget 85 million. Box office bomb with 14 million. They crashed and burned. Am I surprised? No, because I've seen lots of the comments and a lot of the thoughts of the people. So I'm not surprised it doesn't do well. Now, let's get into the plot. Frankenstein is a lonely, or I should say, Frankenstein is lonely and he needs a wife. It's the story of the dead coming back to life to haunt the living with skeletons in their closets. That's The Bride for you. I tried to keep it brief. Now let's get into my review of that movie. Again, I think people are harsh on it. I did enjoy it quite a lot. Is it a masterpiece? Hell no. We Buried the Dead was far better in my books. But let's get into The Bride. So, spoilers ahead for The Bride. Let's start with my first issue with The Bride. Pacing wasn't so great, somewhere in the middle. Could have been cut 15 to 20 minutes and still tell the same story. Number two, some of the dialogue wasn't so great. That was mostly because of the strong feminist coding that felt very much forced. I think it's a strong team, but they could have sold it much better than what they did. The third issue with The Bride, plot convenience, the duo not getting caught just because the bride asked for a new movie they didn't see. So these were my issues. Let's get into the likes and the teams. Again, spoilers ahead. Characters were enjoyable. The action was entertaining, the acting was solid, the atmosphere of the movie was great. The gore was cool, the music was rock solid, so there's a trend there. The music kept coming back. The twists and reveals were great. Team and character arc. Strong feminist message, how to find love. Lots of cops system are corrupt. Living a long life also means loneliness. It's about finding human connection. It's about overcoming the past and learning from it. Some people develop unhealthy parasocial link with celebrities, as shown somewhere in the middle with Frankenstein and the actor. The bride went from unknowing her past to knowing where she came from and who she wanted to become. Frankenstein fought loneliness and he went from lying to others to telling the truth. Female detective went from palm to someone who took charge. Male detective went from being a corrupt cop to giving it all away for justice. And The Bride, again, I enjoyed it. My wife was with me and she also enjoyed it, I will give a well deserved 8 out of 10. That's a good movie. I highly recommend. It's not as good as We Bury the Dead. So now, as usual, we will take a look to what the other have to say on Rotten Tomato because it's important to see if I am crazy. I think it's the best part of a stream, knowing if the MTT, the multi-topic talk, is crazy. So I will screen share. Let me find the right tab. The Rotten Tomato for The Bride. There we go. Oh my. 59% for the critique, 73% for the audience. So now it's the reverse of We Bury the Dead. I'm a lot more in touch with the audience. So let's get to see what is the consensus on the critique concocted with all the restraint of a mad scientist experiment. The Bride lurches in so many different creative directions that the overall effect is both sloppy and inspired. Interesting. So let's start with the critique reviews. Bill Goody Kungs, Arizona Republic, with a rotten score of 2.5 out of 5, so that'd be a 5 out of 10. I admire what Gallagher attempts in The Bride. I was less satisfied with the execution. Fair enough. Adam Graham, Detroit News. C minus. Rotten. It has a distinct visual flair, but story-wise, it lumbers around, unsure of what it wants to do or say. I get that. Oh, a first positive review. Daily League Financial Times. 4 out of 5, so that'd be 8. If it sounds like 15 movies at once, that is now it, please. Both cranked very high indeed. Buckley and Bell seem to be sharing a private game of anything you can do. Shalini Langer, The Indian Express, with a 2 out of 5, so that'd be a 4. Ouch. The Bride 2 works the best when it's not trying too hard. I get it. I see it. Now let's get into what the audience had to say. Maybe they're more in tune with what I believe of the film. So, Nuva Snow with 8 out of 10, just like me. Excellent story and different perspective of Frankenstein Bride. Add a great love, storyline, action, a little laugher. Rhonda. I remember seeing Rhonda a lot. 2 stars and a half, so that'd be a 5. Different, definitely a love story. Interesting. 2 10 out of 10 in a row. Let's start with the first one. I love Kristen Bell and G.C. Buckley. The movie was completely unexpected, and I love a movie that you cannot predict. That's true. Actually, I disagree a bit. A lot of things we kind of see it coming at some point. Sarah S. Believe me when I tell you this film is delicious. With another 10. If you go into it expecting to be entertained by ultra violence in a standard horror flick, you will be served because it's very violent. There are very graphic moments. Well. These are the thoughts of the people. That's what they thought of The Bride. I really enjoyed that movie, and seems like it was quite divisive, and I've heard a lot of people complaining about the feminists in the movie. Again, I think that was one of the weaknesses, but it's not a reason to think it's the worst thing that came out. It's not true. There are worse things. Stranger Chapter 3, far worse than that. Anyway, what did you think of The Bride if you have seen it? That being said, coming next on the channel, in a few minutes, Resident Evil, an hour and a half. I really want to play that, even if I'm very sick. I want to do it. Tomorrow, Superman, Man of Steel, Superman 2. And depending when we finish tomorrow, we may end up doing another Resident Evil Requiem. I really want to beat the game at some point. That's the planning. And as usual, politics on Saturday, Preacher on Wednesday. So many things on the channel. But again, Saturday, we talk about politics. That's our politics day, this Saturdays. The rest of the week, it's gaming and movie reviews. That's the planning. Next week, we will also talk about Batman and Batman Returns. So that's the planning. Politics on Saturdays, movies and video games the rest of the week. With that, thank you for watching. There's always a playback with timestamp, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great one and take care.